Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm your host, Duke Oishi.
And I'm your co-host, Maria Kashem.
In our show this time, we'll cover the contention about the high-rise projects in Kakaako and how we can find a solution going forward.
We'll see what the state is doing, how the neighbors feel about it, and what can be done to assuage their concerns.
Kakaako is under the control of the Hawaii Community Development Authority, HCDA, a state agency established in the 1970s to develop Kakaako. Tony Ching, Executive Director of HCDA, spoke about Kakaako at our recent ThinkTech Hawaii Venture Capital Association luncheon program on housing in Hawaii.
My calculations in terms of under construction, permitted, and in the pipeline is over 4,000 residential units. And I have pre-pipeline perhaps another 1,000 units. Okay, and in terms of timing, it should happen, it needs to happen, as Paul says, in a very limited window. You have to have a product, an area where people want to live. And at this point, for all the good work that Kamehameha has done in terms of generating cultural awareness and with the retail opportunities of Howard Hughes and the other, we have a lot of energy, and we have cultural, we have performing, we have public facilities. I very much expect that of those 5,000 units that we talk about, that there might be as many as 40+%, which I will categorize as workforce housing. Forget the definitions. It means that it should be affordable to a family making as much as $125,000 a year. Why direct urban growth to Kakaako or to the city? And the answer is, in short, it makes sense. The footprint of a high-rise mixed-use development is much more efficient than if you were to pursue this same project in the suburbs. This graphic shows the location of existing residential towers in Kakaako. And it actually is, you're gonna be saying, hey, there's not that many. There's a lot of space for more.
At the turn of 2000, just around the time the medical school was being built in Kakaako, Makai, there was a lot of interest in developing Kakaako as a tech center.
This turned to contention over a condo project proposed for Kakaako Makai by A&B in 2005. But when that project was canceled, the idea of a tech center went with it.
Despite 10 years of discussion, aside from the medical school and the Cancer Research Center, there has been no significant tech development in Kakaako.
Instead, Kamehameha Schools has been actively encouraging the development of startup retail businesses and restaurants in Kakaako.
There's an Eat the Street festival with great food on the last Friday evening of each month. There are some new restaurants on Queen Street and Awahi Street. There's a new Starbucks on Ala Moana.
Various organizations are trying to bring the complete streets concept to Kakaako and make it walkable. The
Powwow Artists Organization, led by Jasper Wong, has been allowed the opportunity to do graphic arts on the walls of buildings all over Kakaako.
Kakaako is the neighborhood that will demonstrate the essence of Honolulu in the 21st century. The integration of rail and transit-oriented development into our city, and the place where our younger generations can find creativity and careers and make a new home.
What we do and don't do in Kakaako will have a ripple effect for city planning and development, not only in Oahu, but around the state.
While these transformational things are happening in Kakaako, for its part, the Abercrombie administration has been advocating for high-rise residential buildings.
Over the past year or two, some 22 housing projects have been proposed to HCDA for development in Kakaako. 35 years after HCDA's creation, development now seems to be on a fast track in Kakaako.
Kakaako residents are interested in what will happen to their neighborhood and have expressed concerns about these projects and HCDA's plans for the development of the area.
They have also expressed concerns about the planning for the area and whether the infrastructure and open and green spaces are sufficiently developed for these projects, whether high-priced condos are the right thing for the area, whether enough affordable housing is being provided, and the effect of the high-rises on view planes from Mauka to Makai.
The concerns of the community were evident at a public hearing conducted by HCDA at its headquarters on Cook Street last week. Hundreds of people showed up to express their views about the project at 803 Waimanu Street. Most of them opposed it.
At that hearing, the HCDA board ruled against the Waimanu application to increase the height, density, and proximity to the neighboring building. While it's clear that opposition is in the air, it's also clear that HCDA is allowing the community to express themselves and has shown that it is considering community concerns in its decision-making.
ThinkTech was there that day and had an opportunity to talk with some of the people who showed up for the hearing.
Well, today they're trying to break the rules that they themselves set and jam a tower right next to another tower, and in doing so devalue the properties on both sides. I'm for affordable housing, but it's this Kakaako committee's responsibility in master planning Kakaako to lay out areas where they go and not allow a developer to come in and buy a minimal piece of property and leave the taxpayer to pay for storm drains, road improvements, circulation improvements, and all that's involved. Now we have somebody that's using a buzz term, affordable housing, which this is not affordable housing. This housing would require a family to earn in excess of $100,000 to qualify. This isn't affordable housing. Affordable housing are for the poor people that we have living here in Kakaako. If anything, we ought to be looking after them. I think this whole process should go back to City Council, where there would be a much more intelligent debate. I think the purpose of this committee should be to make its recommendations, but I think the City Council should be the ones that actually make the decision. This guy isn't coming in with a 65-foot waiver and saying, I'd like to go 68 feet. He's saying, I'm gonna go 100 feet higher, 150 feet higher. These aren't waivers. These are total trash of the law.
The exemptions that are being sought are for the height of the building and the proximity of that building to an existing high-rise. There are also questions being raised about the impact on traffic, infrastructure such as sewer capacity, classroom capacity in nearby schools. Well, the legislature created the HCDA in 1976, and in doing that, it basically gave the HCDA a lot of unilateral authority and exemptions from city ordinance, land use ordinances. I'm not sure if HCDA has too much authority at this point in this day and age. It's something that the legislature needs to re-examine next year. One of the things that we're going to be asking HCDA to do is to present its master plan for the area. We want to do this in a public setting so that residents can listen and as well as ask questions about what the plan is about. And one of the proposals on the table now is for the construction of 3 700-foot towers in Kakaako. I'm not sure if a 700-foot tower, a 70-floor tower is conducive not just for this area, but for the island of Oahu. Over the last couple of years, the legislature spent a lot of time and effort in dealing with the Public Land Development Corporation. We repealed the PLDC last year, and I don't want the HCD to become another PLDC.
There's no control over how these buildings are going to be built. Just behind me, there's a building coming up, and next to it is going to be an approved building by Abercrombie for 700 feet. Now that's double the amount of what it is right now. I mean, I cannot see where they can develop a building twice as big as the buildings now in an area where there's so much congestion. And my only thing that I ask the politicians is to put this on the ballot and let the people decide.
This project in particular has created a lot of community concerns because the neighbors originally had no notice about this particular project. I think, however, Hawaii Community Development Authority's recommendations from the staff sound like they are listening to communities, because the recommendations, are to deny the application, particularly with respect to the density and height, which had been raised as really significant concerns by the neighbors of this building who live at Imperial Plaza. So I think, what it shows is everybody is going to have to pay very close attention to what is being proposed among all of the projects, and certainly from the city end, HCDA is a state agency, but from the city end, we have a lot of concerns about infrastructure, so we would really want to make sure that the city agencies do a fair and honest assessment of what is possible, and if we don't have adequate infrastructure, then what is the best way to make sure that we have that. There are a lot more protections, for existing neighbors under the city zoning requirements, because everything is pretty much set up in ordinance. And I think it behooves HCDA, if they want to demonstrate that they have the capability to do major development projects, they really need to come up with rules and specific protections so that everybody knows, what the rules are before you have projects coming before the board.
ThinkTech was later able to catch up with some members of One Waterfront, a residential project that will be affected by these developments. We spoke with George Bevan, president of the Owners Association, and John Horvath, resident manager.
Well, I believe they're going to remake Kakaako, and it's probably going to look like another Waikiki or Manhattan. Kamehameha says it's a real carefully thought out plan. I don't think it's very carefully thought out, and I don't think it's a plan. I believe they're just kind of free falling and just putting things where they can, and it's just going to ruin this whole area. They're building a super lot of different buildings on lots of blocks in Kakaako, and they're going to basically really ruin the infrastructure. The amount of people that are coming in here are just going to be unbelievable if they actually finish all the buildings that they're planning. Well, one thing for sure, it's going to be harder to get in and out of here. So, I kind of envision like Waikiki is on the parade. There's going to be, on a daily basis, there's just going to be so many cars going in and out. I know everybody's saying, oh, we're going to make it so nobody wants to do any driving. They're all going to be walking. But, reality-wise, we have a lot of people on our condo, and a lot of people work close to downtown, and they use their cars a lot. I believe their infrastructure is going to get overtaxed. Right now, it's kind of on the edge. We have, during the winter, sometimes it'll be raining, and the sewers just back up, and the manhole covers blow off. And picture a bunch more buildings and a much more people, especially across the street, with all those units that are going right directly across from us, and it's going to just tax the infrastructure to the max. I would like to see Kakaako developed. I think it's definitely time. I think that it can be a lot smarter done. First of all, I don't know why they're trying to exceed the building heights that the city and county allow. It's like they're trying to reach for the sky. I don't believe we need that many stories in all these buildings. I think that they could more intelligently develop this place without all these huge buildings.
The development in Kakaako seems to be catching a lot of people off balance. There's been multiple plans put forth by the landowners, and there's also been rules set forth by the HCDA, which doesn't seem to be applicable to most of the development that's going on. And the residents in the neighborhood, the existing residents that is, are getting upset because every time they think they have their minds wrapped around what could potentially happen in their neighborhood, another set of rules or another proposed set of developments comes at them. For instance, when the TOD, Transportation-Oriented Development, or POD, Pedestrian-Oriented Development, came forth and then started proposing all these 700-foot towers, which 3 of them are and multiple 550-foot towers. That got people really concerned with the density of the area because right now the traffic is barely manageable as it is, especially with our secondary streets. Queen Street, one of the Diamond Head to Eva run streets, is already past its capacity, and people are upset because every time it rains, they're driving through puddles of water 3 days after it rains. It's a serious infrastructure issue, which has people questioning whether this area can, withstand this type of development. From what I've noticed in the 2 years of managing here is that every time we do get heavy rains, the manhole covers pop off the streets on South Street, and then vehicles drive over them. And they flip up and they gut the underneath of people's cars, and the police come out and they stand in front of the manhole covers so that they don't actually hit a car. A vehicle doesn't hit one of them. And what I've also noticed is it seems that on South Street we don't have a sewer system, but rather a septic tank system, as I notice pump trucks come in every so often. What is going to happen in Kakaako is going to negatively impact this island for generations to come if it's not done correctly. 700-foot towers, when Diamond Head is 760 feet tall, you're talking buildings as tall as Diamond Head or close to it. Is that really kind of what we want here? Do we lose our enchanted aisle fill, and do we become, dare I say, Hong Kong, as people have mentioned, or Manhattan or something like that? I don't think that's what the local residents here really want. This area here is the local sewage pump station that has puzzled many of the residents at One Waterfront Tower, as they report to me that they witness sewage pump trucks coming in here on a regular basis, 5, 6 at a time, removing waste out of here. And there's a constant complaint of smell, sewage smell coming from this area. And no one really knows what the long-term future is, or what actually is going on here. If this is part of the sewer project, is this part of the Waikiki sewer leak, or if this has something to do with Kakaako. I feel the residents of the city and county and the state are going to be footing the bill for this infrastructure eventually, and it's probably not fair. I think that this should be done as some give and take from the developers and landowners who are going to stand to make hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. I would think we're talking $8, $10, $12 billion worth of construction, and we really can't even get a comprehensive 3-dimensional plan laid out so that people can actually physically see what the impact of all this is going to be.
We were then able to compare notes with other residents who have been following developments in Kakaako.
We were very happy with the outcome. It was actually the first time in HCDA history that they denied a permit for a development. It was really a grassroots effort by all the people, residents in our building. I think it's still very challenging with the HCDA. There are a lot of procedures they have in place that don't necessarily benefit the people who currently call Kakaako home. There are some things that they've actually ruled on in the 803 Waimano development meeting that I disagree with. The first and foremost being that there is an adequate infrastructure in Kakaako. We can see by the number of water main breaks that we've had over the past 2 months, and the fact that the streets are undeveloped, that when it rains it puddles up, sewer backups. Definitely we do not have appropriate infrastructure here. That, even coupled with a letter from the Department of Education that says there's no classrooms available. If all of this development goes on without any kind of intervention, you're going to have Hong Kong here in Kakaako. I am in favor of development in principle. I think Kakaako has some space to grow. What I'm in favor for is smart development. You know, logically looking at the places that we need to, ensuring there is adequate infrastructure, and by that I mean schools, roads, sewers, a shopping center, not even necessarily a shopping center, but a grocery store. The nearest grocery store to us is about 2 miles away. So they say live, work, and play. Impossible if you have to travel and get in your car to go to a grocery store.
I've been going to meetings because those concerns about what they're actually doing in Kakaako, whether us as small businesses had a chance to survive there or not, or are we going to be squeezed out. September 2011, ACDA approved a revised Malka plan. And that Malka plan was done, because of what you had said earlier, was done with a lot of community input. We had work sessions, we had follow-up work sessions to address our concerns. But in October 2011, that's 2 months later, they announced this TOD overlay. And my first question was, why are you overlaying rules which you just revised? Huge variance. That's what essentially they're approving. So when the plan was shown, you see all these developments around us. They're trying to increase density all around us. It seems like a lot of people think of a sustainable community as residential towers with Starbucks at the bottom. But it's more than that. So when they say you're building for the local population, if you just look at some of these condos, it's not like you're really building residence for the local population. A lot of it is investment, and it's going to out-of-state people. I mean, from what I heard, the great sales of the Ala Moana, the Nordstrom condominium, they're buying it. He's not local. But then again, local couldn't afford it anyway. There's a play with words. People use affordable housing as sort of like the candy, like we're going to build affordable housing. But what they're really talking about is reserve housing, which is not affordable. You have to be between 100 and 140% of median income. And most of these people don't don't make that money.
There is a feeling that at some point they will be pushed out or ousted out of Kakaako. Mr. Ching has said that HCDA has done about $100 million in infrastructure improvements, but with all these developments coming up, it's really not enough. At some point, maybe the first few developments would be okay, but I believe after that, there will be issues regarding infrastructure. Do you really want Waikiki to extend all the way to downtown with all these high-rise buildings? I understand development, I understand the changing landscape. I would like the character of the existing Kakaako to be maintained in some way. It has unique characteristics and a vast array of businesses, and I'd like to see that continue.
One of the reasons for ACDA that was said way back when was that to improve the blight in Kakaako. But the way it's going now, from a blight of small buildings, we're going to a blight of big, tall buildings, you know, and that's what I'm afraid of.
After decades of minimal development activity, Kakaako has now become a center of development and also a center of community concern. No one knows exactly how things will work out, but as over the past 10 years, ThinkTech will continue to cover the story. And now let's take a look at our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
Check out ThinkTech's 4 to 5 p.m. Drive Time radio series on 760 a.m. for Energy on Wednesday, Asia on Thursday, and Tech on Friday. We also stream video and audio for all our shows live on the internet 10 times a week at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. every weekday, and we replay them all night long on Ustream.tv. Visit ThinkTechHawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links. Raise your awareness on ThinkTech.
On Thursday, July 25th, the Hawaii Venture Capital Association and ThinkTech will present a luncheon program at the Plaza Club entitled Drones Over Hawaii, featuring a discussion of the technology, the legal considerations, the business opportunities, and the foreign policy implications. The program will be moderated by Peter Crouch, Dean of the College of Engineering at UH Manoa, with a blue ribbon panel. You can sign up for these programs on hvca.org.
And now here's Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, with this week's Spensation.
Bill, you know, so much is going on about Kakaako these days. You hear about it, you read about it. There's all this action on Cook Street at the HCDA office. You're there. You live in the neighborhood. What's your perception about all this?
I've lived there over 20 years. I've been on the Kakaako Ala Moana Advisory, a neighborhood advisory board. And frankly, Jay, I don't think things are happening fast enough. You know, we've had the medical school, the cancer center, great iconic institutions, but there's nothing else going on except for a few condos. Lots of plans, 22 new condos planned, 12,000 new housing units, but frankly, the HCDA, which has been around for 35 years, has left Kakaako looking like Mapunapuna or Sand Island. You know, the Quonset huts are still there, the little transmission repair shops. I mean, I'm all for small business, but you know, this is the center of the universe as far as Honolulu is concerned. It's the center of the county. There's this blight between downtown and Waikiki that needs to be fixed straight away. Now, you know, the activists are going to complain. When I was on the neighborhood board, we were considering the convention center. And they came out in force complaining about noise and traffic and noise and traffic and congestion. Did that ever happen? No. We can deal with it. That's what progress is all about. We need Kakaako. We need better housing. We need workforce, not just housing, but places for people to work. You can plan and plan forever. It's time to start digging some holes and building some buildings. I'm all for it.
Okay, Bill. Thanks.
Thanks, Jay.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
The High Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Hawaii Gas, formerly the gas company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property investment decisions.
Okay, Maria, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Jay Fidel does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
Totally, Duke. For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor or a volunteer and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Duke Oishi. Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. Aloha, everyone.
I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.
I'm DJ. ThinkTech is logical.
Okay, let's try that again.